Excellent.
Wonderful.
Greetings, everybody. Hello. My name's Matthew. I'm from the Neuronautic Institute here in New York City. I am really proud and honored to be hosting and this Poets Building Bridges event, an international poetry event put together by George Wallace. I think it's really stunning what he's done. It's been going on for a couple of weekends. It's really been a beautiful event. And let me just throw it over to George, who will guide us through this lovely thing. Take it away, George.
Right. Matthew Hupert, Neuronautic Institute, one of the very fine poetry operations in New York City. Principally out of the KGB bar, second floor, then the third floor, sometimes I believe, on East 4th Street. So he's also going to be one of the people reading for us. So thank you for hosting this event. It's the 5th of 6 events that we're doing, Poets Building Bridges, triangulating communities and poetry communities in different parts of the world. 6 times in 3 weeks to see what we can do to build bridges community to community and nation, and culture to culture. It's been an excellent ride, a bumpy ride, but what the heck? A bumpy ride is part of what it means to get on an airplane and fly from place to place. And the fact that we can do this without getting on an airplane and spending thousands of dollars to get to a place and getting over jet lag and that sort of thing is one of the beauties of the internet. So thank you for participating in this. One thing I've learned in my many years of travel in the world is never to judge the truth of a nation or a culture until you have listened to its poets and drunk its wine. We can't drink together here in Poets Building Bridges, but we can listen to each other and share. And I encourage people from the different communities today to share with each other, listen to each other, find out ways to communicate with each other so this event becomes a springboard for further interaction between you. And to the extent that happens, this is more than just a random collection of people from different places in the world, but it becomes a structure for growth and building of relationships between communities. I'd like to start right away by introducing the group leader from Italy, Lucilla Trapazzo. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Forgive me for any of my mispronunciations. Lucilla is somebody well known to me from here in New York City, but also we've traveled together in Albania, North Macedonia, and we've collaborated in a number of international projects that were by Zoom. She's a Swiss-Italian poet, translator, artist, and performer. After years spent abroad for studies and work in the Deutsche Democratic Republic, Brussels, Washington, D.C., and right here in New York City. She now lives in Zurich, Switzerland, and is a convinced supporter of human rights and the planet. Her social and feminine point of view is reflected in many of her writings, including 4 books of poetry. So please welcome our compere from Italy today, from Swiss Italy, Lucilla Trapazzo.
Hi, hello everybody. It's so nice to see so many of you that I already know, beautiful. And I don't want to lose more time. No other introduction on my side. I want to go straight to present my guest today. I chose 3 poets. One of them is also a musician by profession, 3 people I deeply admire and love. One of them, Giuseppe Napolitano, I'm not sure we're able to listen to his poems. We will try everything, we will do our best, but apparently there are some problems, some technical problems. So I want to start with Mara Venuto. I met Mara in Saranda, Albania at an international festival, and I must say that I fell in love directly with her kind and warm personality and with her poems. She writes verses that are incisive, sculptured words, essential, elegant, composed, deeply feminine and embracing. She's a poet and a playwright. She published collections of monologues and poetry. And scripts on social issues have been staged with good feedback. And she's a regular guest of international poetry festivals. So Mara, a te il microfono.
Hello, everybody. I'm really glad to be here with you. Thank you, George Wallace, and thank you, Lucilla Trapazzo, for your invitation. I'm really glad and honored. And I would like to read some poems from 3 of my poetry collection and one unpublished poem against all war. The first poems are translated from Italian by Lucilla Trapazzo. Thank you, Lucilla, and thank you, everybody. The first poem is entitled Guest. I'm the guest of my paper flesh, and all was written in the pigmented ink. The rented body remains empty, a house on lawn traversed by memories that make it rain inside. This poem is taken from the poetry collection Waterproof, 2016. I will read this poem in Italian. Ospite. Sono ospite della mia carne di carta e di mura scritte con inchiostro depigmentato. Resta vuoto il corpo in affitto, una casa incomodato d'uso, traversata da memorie che fanno piovere dentro. The second poem is entitled 1000 Shards. There's an old warehouse of used souls, right behind my back, shattered into shards of centrifugal substance. I'd be walled, looking like a deaf ox, tied to a nothingness, striving to be a something, but I'm not, and I'm still researching for my 1000 shards. In Italian, 1000 pezzi. C'è un vecchio deposito di anime usate proprio dietro la mia schiena, rotta, in schegge di sostanza centrifuga. Sarei intera, somigliassi a un bue sordo, legato a un nulla che sembra gran cosa. Non sono, e cerco ancora i miei 1000 pezzi. Another poems. This one is really recent and unpublished, without title. The shelter is the fault, and the fault a resounding repetition in the heap. A placid falling on one another to smell nothing alive. The work of art lies in the pieces, metal bent into crushed wood, a design decodable only from above. Do not repair your hand on the journey. Thank you, Lucilla, for your traduction. Next poem are translated from Italian by Irish poet Anatoly Kudryavinsky. In passing, nothing changes, says a man who passed me by, and yet time changes, maintaining an unending relay of seconds. Season change without a warning, also the color of the air that I breathe, and the weather changes too. It causes a spasm in my chest that I drown in a sip of water. And so it's vanishing alone with a childish fright conceived by my fear of remaining an unscientist sheets of photographic paper while the whole world goes by. Passa in Italian. Non cambia niente, dice un uomo che mi passa accanto, eppure cambia l'ora in staffette di secondi in fila. Cambia la stagione senza avvisare e il colore dell'aria che respiro. E anche il tempo cambia, si contrae, un singhiozzo nel petto annega in un sorso d'acqua e si spegne con uno spavento bambino nato dalla mia paura di restare impassibile, inanimata carta fotografica, mentre tutto passa. Another one, a doll. A broken doll with uneven legs. One eye is facing the other, staring at the face of fear, while everything gets heavier and nothing can hold the weight of the moon to light up at the hill-lit road, and wherever is waiting, a map in his hands sees a wandering light below and shadow to cover it. Una bambola rotta, a gambe spaiate, una a est e l'altra in faccia alla paura, mentre tutto si aggrava e non regge il peso della luna. Nel buio a orientare la strada e chi aspetta, in mano una mappa, sotto una ferita di luce e ombra a coprire. This poem is taken from the poetry collector. This dust is scattered by the wind. Questa polvere la sparge il vento, 2019. This poem, the last one, is translated from Italian by Sarah Rowe. The last leaf. The last leaf has fallen from the wood, clanging on, lifeless, is touching the ground just before noticing its wither antibody sap. A capillary duct has broken off, the same I ran through as a child, a bourgeois sports field in which to beat fake enemies without leaving home. È caduta dal legno l'ultima foglia, ha toccato il suolo, un attimo prima di accorgersi della linfa anticorpo inaridita. Si è spezzato un corridoio capillare, lo stesso in cui correvo da piccola, un campo sportivo borghese, dove vincere nemici immaginari, senza uscire di casa. This poem is taken from my last The City, 2021. Thank you, everybody.
Mara, grazie. Sei meravigliosa. Thank you. It's really, really
Thank
great.
you.
And it was beautiful the way you are also able to convey what you're saying with your voice. And you know, it's really 1,000 shards of Mara that come together and give a beautiful, multifaceted picture of your inner life, of your inner feelings. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to go now to my second guest, Ermanno Dodaro. Ermanno is a composer, is a double bass player and songwriter. His musical collaboration, both in music and in theater, include big names, just to name a few, just really few. Lina Wertmüller, Lucia Poli, Rossana Casale, Tosca, Daniele Sepe, and Peter Stein. I had the pleasure to work with him. He wrote the whole soundtrack of my poetry performance dedicated to Francesca da Rimini, the most carnal figure in Dante Alighieri's Inferno. We prepared a performance for the 700th anniversary of the poet's death. And it was staged in different venues, in different conferences, talking about Dante Alighieri last year. The style of Ermanno music is a fertile mixture of genre, going from the more jazz-like composition, done with his group Asi to the pure songwriting one. Just a few weeks ago, his last production with and for Grazia di Michele, poetry. He wrote both the words and the music, and a beautiful video has been done. It's called Miraggio. I hope you can look for it on the internet. So Ermanno, I know that he wants to play as first piece the prologue of our work together for Francesca. So Ermanno.
Yes, I just tuned the lowest string of my guitar in D just to create a more middle-aged or Renascimental feeling.
Balliamo sul soffitto. Sale, strada. Canto. Il di una sterica. La mia voce implode.
My second piece is titled La Casa delle Api Selvatiche, the House of Wild Bees, and it stems from one of my poems, by the same title. This is a guitar version. Just 2 seconds. And the third one is El Muelle de Huanchaco, a song or a composition dedicated to Peru, to the city of Huanchaco in Peru, beautiful city. Thank you so much to George Wallace and Lucilla Trapazzo for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
Grazie, Ermanno. Thank you. Thank you. I'm always excited and to listen to your music, always touched. And looking forward to meeting you again within a week for the next spectacle. And please go and check his YouTube page and check also how this more melodic music then changes in something completely different when he's working with his group. We tried, and he normally plays a double bass. So we tried with a double bass, but he was bare and he does incredible things. I mean, wow, not only with the strings, but it was very audible. We tried then with bass with the other instrument. It didn't work, the latency, and I mean, it was beautiful what you did with the guitar. Thank you so much. Let's go.
You're welcome.
Further. I see that we can see Giuseppe. I am so happy. Let's hope that we can also hear him. I present him and then we will have the surprise whether we can listen to him or we will try with the phone to see if it works in case we are not able to listen to him. But I am positive that we will. So last but not least, Giuseppe Napolitano. I know Giuseppe since decades, and I will always be grateful to him for believing in me as a poet and publishing my first book. Giuseppe is a poet. Giuseppe, can you hear me?
Yes, I know. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I want to first wait that I want to present you, and then I will let you read your poems. So he's a poet, translator, and an intellectual renowned in Italy and in the whole Mediterranean basin and in the Balkans. He's a regular guest of international conferences and festivals. In 2006, he founded La Stanza del Poeta, the Poet's Room, in which 111 booklets, at that time when I had this news, maybe now there are many more, poems and essays were published by known and emerging authors from the Mediterranean. And he often translated himself all the poems. For years, he organized an international poetry festival in the southern part of Lazio called Voices of the Mediterranean. Over 100 books of poems, translation, and essays have been published under his name. He has been translated and published in 33 languages. So, Giuseppe, now it's your turn, my dear.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone. I'll try, and excuse me for my bad English. I'll try to read The Answer, My Daughter, variation on Bob Dylan. If actually Bob asks, how long you need to be a man, you haven't got an answer, and it's not true. It is blowing in the wind. You just lost it. In spite of the time, you still had to chase the wind itself and make it yours. Now try to force your fate. Forever young, as long as you're next to me, I'll follow the apprenticeship of your years, and sooner or later, I'll be ready to give you the horizon that doesn't answer to you yet. Just like a woman, now my daughter, that it's not easy to alter the course of events with your wiles. If a hostile word appears before your eyes, those of a growing child, you only have to wait. You only have to believe in yourself. And Ulysses, no matter how good you are at pausing the trip, or how stopping grants rest, it's waiting again, not always a bad thing. The open sea, virtuous call of knowledge, And if Ulysses calls to journey, you cannot refuse the mad flight that makes a man true. And then you dive in, trying to reach as soon as your arms will take you the faraway shore, where you hope someone will be waiting for you, someone who can give you an honest mirror from which you can seek guidance, which way home. The stop becomes ever lighter if already you think about other works, about other journeys and fantasies, looking but not always getting there. And now, Italian, la risposta, figlia mia, variazioni su Bob Dylan. E se Bob ancora chiede quanto tempo ti ci vuole ad essere uomo, non hai pronta la risposta e non è vero che se l'è portata il vento, l'hai perduta quando ancora avresti avuto tutto il tempo di rincorrere anche il vento e farla tua. Ora provaci a forzare la tua sorte. Per sempre giovane, finché mi sei accanto, seguirò l'apprendistato dei tuoi anni e presto o tardi sarò pronto a regalarti l'orizzonte che non ti risponde ancora. Proprio come una donna, figlia mia. Sappi che non è facile, non cambiano le tue moine il corso degli eventi. Se davanti un mondo ostile si presenta agli occhi tuoi di bambina che cresce e non ha che da aspettare e non ha che da credere in sé. Ulisside, per quanto riesca a sospendere il viaggio, per quanto una pausa consenta il riposo, ti aspetta di nuovo e non sempre dispiace il pelago aperto, virtuoso richiamo di conoscenza. E se Ulisse ti chiama all'impresa, non sai rifiutare il folle volo che conferma l'uomo. E allora tuffandoti cerchi di giungere presto che puoi alla riva lontana dove tu speri ti aspetti qualcuno, chi possa darti uno specchio sincero al quale chiedere lumi. La via per tornarmene a casa qual è? E ancora più lieve è la sosta, se già ripensi ad altri cammini, ad altre imprese, ad altre finzioni di te che cerchi e non sempre poi arrivi. Altre tre brevissime, solo in italiano, non sono tradotte. 8 marzo. Quanta bellezza appena sfiorata che non hai potuto cogliere, non avresti dovuto nemmeno, e conservi però integra, tua, imperdibile, per non averla avuta. Il treno della vita. Passeggeri nel treno della vita, fingendo o distraendoci a caso, evitiamo di conoscerci, a volte paurosi di scoprirci o scoprirci in altri a noi simili, specchi in cui vediamo si rompe il nostro volto, difficili frammenti a ricomporre l'umanità che siamo, sempre in viaggio, passando una stazione dopo l'altra per una meta ormai fatta miraggio e schermo all'impotenza di arrivare. The last one. Minatore. Minatore nelle gallerie dell'anima, il poeta fruga e scopre illuminando anditi oscuri altrimenti perduti, particole parole di un discorso, a nuovi sensi riproposte a vivere. Thank you. Good luck to everyone. Good poetry to everyone. And peace.
Peace. Thank you.
Peace to everyone.
Grazie, grazie Giusy, grazie. And I must say that I'm really happy that you chose the two poems in English. I have to say, they are part of an epic project of Giuseppe to have them translated in as many languages as it's possible. And I don't know how many languages do you have already for those poems?
Ulysses 33. And the answer for my daughter in 22.
Wow. I translated them in German. Hopefully I did a good job. And luckily
Yes.
we're not reading it now. And I'm really, really happy that you chose those. It's a beautiful project, epic project. So then for the Italian group, it seems that I'm the last one. It's my turn now. And George already said everything about me. Not the kind of person, I don't like to talk about other stuff, just who I am. And so I chose 4 poems. The first 2 are part of an unpublished manuscript that I've been writing in the last couple of years. And it's called The Resilience of the Seed. And it talks about, you know, being closed, and now with the war, what does it still mean to be human? It's a reflection part, inner reflection part, philosophical, about what does it mean being human. So I read first in Italian and then in English. Dissolvenze. C'è forse redenzione nel gesto originario, nella mora rossa che si abbraccia al giglio. Ecco. Ti presento l'uomo, conquista con la clava, riversa seme, stupra, saldo nei costrutti sgretolati nel suo vaso vuoto. Si piega poi a sua volta, stupito, sull'ignoto. Fade out. There is perhaps redemption in the primal gesture, in the red blackberry that contains the lily. Behold, this is the man conquering with stones and clubs, spilling seed and raping, steadfast in his crumbling constructs, in his empty vessel, who in turn, in the end, bends over, astonished, onto the unknown. Da qualche parte ai confini del regno si intrecciano di nuovo brandelli dissonanti, traiettorie profane, linee curve che stracciano il rosso dei papaveri, mentre sui cancelli chiusi inciampa il sogno luminoso di una sola terra. Brucia l'Europa sui balconi, brucia sbattuta contro i muri, sulle reti vite, vestiti e scogli appesi ad asciugare. E questo eterno andare e ritornare visibili di orrori, di agonie, oh, pietà. Infilo la mattina nello zaino, nel silenzio, perdiamo le persone, i loro nomi urlano nell'erba, ognuno figlio di una madre orfana. Ma da qui, dal volo di un uccello, è ancora casa questo mondo, primavera senza lingue, senza più confini. E quanto azzurro è ancora il cielo. Portiamo tutti un sasso sulla prima vertebra. Somewhere at the edge of the kingdom, dissonant shreds intertwine again, profane trajectories, curved lines that tear puppies of blood, while the bright dream of a single home stumbles on the closed gates. Europe burns on the balconies. It burns slammed against the walls. On the barbed wire, lives, clothes, and rocks are hung out to dry. And this eternal coming and going of hisses, of horrors, of agonies, oh mercy. I put the morning in my backpack. In the silence, we lose people. Their names scream in the grass, each one son of an orphaned mother. But from here, from this bird flight view, this world is still home, spring, without languages, without borders, and how blue the sky still is. We all carry a stone on the first vertebrae. Now the other two are poems from another one of my books, one of my first books. And they also talk about wars, just other wars that were before this one, because no war is less important than the other. 0 Dark 30. Insalata con noci e formaggio, assente lo sguardo alla TV. Forse il bianco e nero delle immagini, forse una vaga nostalgia del mondo, dell'umano, fermo a mezz'aria al boccone, e forse un uomo, un soldato, forse un generale, il punto bianco che brilla e poi, puff, sparisce all'improvviso sullo schermo. Arma intelligente, a volte, bersaglio consapevole. Schatz, il bianco è già caldo, passami un cubo di ghiaccio. 0 Dark 30. Salad with nuts and cheese. Absent the look at the TV. Maybe it's the black and white, perhaps a vague nostalgia of the world, of the human. It's hanging in midair, the morsel. It's a man, a soldier, maybe a general, the white spot that shines and poof, suddenly in a sparkle disappears on screen. Clever, sometimes, weapon, cognizant target. Hey, Schatz, my white wine is warm. Please, hand me another ice cube. Oltre lo sguardo. Orlante, la misera di uno squarcio ha vinto libagioni di silenzio. Somma dolente d'ogni tempo e luogo torna migrante. La madre del figlio all'udibrio dei corvi crocifisso, dilaniato tra notte e giorno senza fine e inizio. Abitando le strade, case abbandonate alla memoria, nei rotocalchi solo fotogrammi, parole di distratti notiziari, la sera alla TV, vacuo, frastuono e orpelli di coscienza in dissonanza, dolce il diniego, segue con passione, ego absolvo te a peccatis mundi. Beyond the gaze, shattering is the misery of an injury, bound to libations of silence. Mournful sum of time and space returns the migrant mother of the sun, crucified to the disdain of night and day, without ending nor beginning, inhabiting streets and houses abandoned to the memories. In the magazines appear only photograms or distracted words of news bulletins in the evening on TV, just hollow noises and frills of conscience in dissonance. Sweet denial follows compassion. Ego absolvo te a peccatis mundi. Ego absolvo te a peccatis mundi. Ego absolvo te a peccatis mundi. And these were my poems. And I hope you couldn't hear the muezzin. There is the muezzin underneath. I hope that was not, I don't know if you can hear it. I'm in Baghdad at the moment at a festival. And okay, George, back to you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucilla. Thank you, Ermanno and Mara and my old, not so old friend, Giuseppe Napolitano. Good to see you, Giuseppe. One day we'll have a grappa together. Now we'll turn to Bucharest, where they drink tuica. I think this is the special brandy of Romania, tuica, which I've never tried, but hope to one day. And we're going to hear from a group of people gathered together by Mircea Dan Duta, poet, film scientist, and translator. He has a very big presence, really, on Zoom and in the world of the internet. The editor of the Livre Littéraire, which is a cultural platform, and organizer, moderator of many cultural events, not only in Romania, but in the Czech Republic and in the Slovak Republic. has 3 poetry collections, a moderator for Pen Romania Literary Evenings. And I should point out that he's affiliated with Revista Familia, which is also streaming this event today to their site, which has a wide readership in his part of the world. Please welcome Mircea Dan Duta. Mircea.
Thank you very much. It is good evening here from Romania. Good afternoon, actually, still good morning, I guess, on the eastern coast. It is an honor for me to be part of this project, and I would like to thank very much George and Lucilla for granting me this opportunity, this honor, and this pleasure. And I want to apologize that because of technical reasons, instead of 3 guests, I have only 1.5. I mean, we have here a great poetess from Syria, and I want to kindly thank her for connecting, even if only audio, because for mysterious reasons, she wasn't able to connect also with her camera. Shurouk Hammoud is a great name, not only of the Syrian, but all in all of the Arab and world poetry. She is one of the few authors which were able to write in a very original and deep way about femininity, about feminism, about the general, about the drama of the woman, not only in her world of origins, but all in the world. In her poetry, the woman of the drama of the woman becomes a general human drama. I am honored to introduce here and to kindly ask her to read us some poems. Shurouk Hammoud, welcome here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be with you today and would like to thank you, dear wonderful poet friend Mircea, for this invitation. I'm looking forward to listen to your poems as well and wish you enjoy mine. I've chosen some of my poems. Some are old ones and like you are new. Swing. Time is my swing. Here it takes me sometimes to the sky, then takes me back to remind me of my first cradle. Time is a grave without a tombstone, and a cradle without a hand. Time wakes me and sleeps in the same eyes. Time is the exhalation of those panting behind oblivion. Time is my swing. I am stuttering rope. With love. With love, I fight ignorance. One smile is enough to cut the glass you wrapped your hands in, so that I don't feel the warmth of your hands when I shake them. I fight shyness. Nothing can justify my blush but a brush held by love. A brush that stretches my lips, creating an untimely crescent-like smile. I fight myself with love too. Can't you see its dark rings surround my eyes? Sleep is the swing of the sad. Despair is a muffler. The sky is prayer's lap. Love is a friendly shot. Longing is the last flower on the grave of the seven. Boredom, a desire defected from the flame. Birds, ventilators of the heavens. The poem is a colony of disappointed hearts. Night of the poet is a blank waiting page. Solitude is the poet's air. Nothingness is a painkiller. Tears are prisoners of words of remorse. Hope is carpet of waiting. Life is a draft of death. Time is a crying clothesline. Dreams are silent vocabulary. Love is lung of light. Truth is a garden fenced with stammers. Sadness is a poet and a reader of the wretched salt. Reasons to break up with you. Writing these reasons on a clear day like a river. Self-pity has turned into a morning cough. The loneliness that fell in love with me since I fell in your presence. Good memories are no longer clean enough bandage. You try to write me extant alphabet. Cheating encircles your body as an aura and my soul as a gallows. The rose I gave you lights up her garden. Your language shirts shrink when they must expand. Your smile is frowning and your crying smiles. How you listen ruins my lettering. Loss is no longer a word that terrifies me. Show more is the only phrase that gnaws my head when you talk to me. I didn't see what I see now before I knew you, and that's the worst of it. Invitation. I invited freedom to my homeland, and out of excitement, I invited guns too. Oh, peace. Make love to me. Love is my inspiring poem. Put me on like a raincoat. Rain is the sweet tears of my hopes crying. Wear me like a perfume of all roses in the world. The world is my soul's gardens. Make me live in the sky's eyes like a moon. The moon is my father. You need nothing. You need nothing to be a sky, but some motherly arms and unconditional light. You need nothing to be a poet, but some fragmentation and a mouth that tries to smile. When love comes, the wall breathes, the windows open their wings, the tables get higher, and the bed wears different perfume. When love comes, the alarm clock suffocates, calendar papers fall like autumn leaves, and God wakes up and dances in the eyes when love comes. Poet's identity card. I am a yellow leaf. The wind forgot me in a hurricane's pocket. Sadness is my father-in-law. Since I married the poem, feed my kid the clouds and die in a suitcase. Isolation is my glasses color. I am in noisy silence, looking for a kiss to break the glassy waiting in my poem's eyes. I'm the one who accumulated his creams on a white paper to turn this black world deaf. Who can but me seduce a sexy lady called Heavens? So tell me just once, how poetry messenger could be a demon while death's messenger called an angel? The psycho who talks to himself before the mirror, blaming her for deforming his face. The psycho who wears humanity perfume is not a real psycho. He is a poet. He is me. But unfortunately, no one looks in the United Nations protocols for the poet's proprieties in wisdom lands. No one tells Plato that cities without poets are nothing but hell. Who can erase the blackboard night with a word but the poet? Tell me who, oh hope. Speak my language. When my voice drops blood and my soul starts to fly, speak my language. When you see me sitting on the verge of a tear, don't talk to me about your future plans. And when you do, don't expect me to be an angel. There are no bleeding angels. You see God? Maybe I will not leave you since I have no one left, but I will not stay either. My heart will sink again deep in the world darkness, where no stars to hug or moon's faces to look at. So please, when you hear my loud crying, don't say a word or close your ears, fall asleep and let me flutter like a dying bird. in my sacred dancing hall. Let the wars eat the last bite of my soul, or speak my language, speak Arabic. The last one is the poem I didn't want to write. I am damaged, my dear. I wasn't kidding when I say to you, my heart is a matchbox that was wetted by tears. My eyes are an hourglass. Time runs out in whenever shadows of love pass in front of them. I am damaged in unfamiliar way, so don't try to be my night's knight who comes on the moon horse. I'm tired of looking at the sky as a sunflower, and I buried my compass so that the directions wouldn't stammer in my head like a time bomb. Then I recover from my ice that keeps me alive like a corpse. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shurouk Hammoud.
Thank you.
A real pleasure and an honor to hear your poems recited by yourself. I would say that, well, of course, I am sorry we couldn't see you as well, but in the same time, hearing your voice had a kind of magical effect and helped us somehow to imagine things connected to the unusual, deep and complex metaphors you use. Ladies and gentlemen, I repeat, one of the most original voices of the Syrian, Arab and world poetry today. Thank you very much, Shurouk Hammoud.
Thank you, thank you.
As I was saying, unfortunately, our second guest couldn't connect. I mean, initially he could connect only video. I mean, Wolfgang Herrmann, one of the leading voices of the Austrian and German-speaking literature today. So we will have to cope. We will have to continue with the third guest I invited here. Himself also a very original poet, musician and performer. Vitaly Colt, he's from the Republic of Moldova, and I have to say that in spite of being a relatively small country, Moldova is a real source of excellent poetry and great poets, especially during the last, let's say, 5 up to 10 years. Each year, a generation of excellent, very young and great poets appears. Vitaly Colt is among them, his poetry being actually also enriched with his music. I invite you to listen to him and to his very unusual but wonderful artistic language, a combination of poetry and music. Vă invit să-l ascultați pe Vitaly Colt și limbajul său neobișnuit, dar fermecător de combinație a poeziei cu muzica. Vitaly, bine ai venit! Vitaly, welcome here.
Thank you, Mircea. Thank you, Mircea. Republica Moldova, with language, traditions, and spirit, is the same Romania, like you know. And what I want to say, my poem is named Pacea din Transnistria. It means peace from Transnistria. Transnistria is a territory of Republica Moldova, what was occupied by Russia, like now occupied Crimea, Donbass in Ukraine, or Abkhazia and Ossetia and Georgia. And my poem is named Peace from Transnistria. Pacea din Transnistria, pe malul Nistrului crescută. Pacea din Transnistria nu-i ca cea din Olanda, Nu-i ca cea din Jamaica, hai să facem un pod, să trecem peste Nistru, nu un pod de fier, nu un pod de lemn, chiar nici pod de flori, ci un pod de iarbă, pod de iarbă, yeah. Pacea din Transnistria, vino și ți-o-i da. Dragostea mea te va îmbrățișa, te va lega la șireturi și cravate. Trimite spre noi un porumbel cu o crenguță în cioc, material pentru pod. Hai să batem un cui în podul peste Nistru, în pod de iarbă, pod de iarbă. Yeah. Pacea din Transnistria e pacea mea, e pacea ta. Și orice nu s-ar întâmpla, lumina va câștiga, mai devreme sau mai târziu, lumina va câștiga. Pacea din Transnistria. Yeah. Sorry my English. And the next song is about love, amore, or Liebe. La 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 la. N-am să mai dezbrac hainele care mi-acoperă gândurile, să mă dezgol și locurile unde mi s-au depus frustrările, să nu te fac responsabilă, că mai îmblânzit se pare că, să nu-mi pare perfectă performanța mea echitabilă, discutabilă, când lipsesc atingerile, trezesc dorințele, de ele m-am ascuns în filmele psihedelice. La 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 la. La 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 la. Într-un an poate-mi dau seama, sunt exagerate dansuri cu paharele și toate întrebările. La 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 la. Oare își amintesc chitările despre toate corzile? La 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 la. N-am să mai dezbrac hainele, să nu mă prindă răcelile. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah. I'm not singer. I'm a bassman, like Ermanno, and I'm not singer. I'm not guitarist. But thank you for invitation.
Thank you very much for being here, Vitaly. Thank you for your music and your poetry. I agree. You're no guitarist, you're no poet, you are both of them. Sunt de acord. Nu ești chitarist, nu ești poet, ești amândouă. Ești și una și alta. You are a combination of both of them. Ești o combinație între ele. And you created a kind of new art. Și ai creat un nou stil de artă. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Vitaly Colt. And us, unfortunately, we can't have Wolfgang here. Please allow me, in the end of the shorter than I thought Romanian block, to present you some of my poems. And I would like to stress that even if I'm a Romanian and even if I love very much my culture, my country and my mother tongue, just because it happened like this, I'm not getting into details, I write in Czech. That means I don't write my poetry, my literature is not written originally in Romanian, but in Czech. And I translate a lot of poets from Czech into Romanian, but I'm not able, and I think it's very hard for someone to translate oneself because it is something very subjective. Therefore, even if it sounds maybe ridiculous, I have a translator from Czech into Romanian. Okay, and now I will read some poems in the limit of those 5 minutes I still have. I apologize for the ones which may have already heard those poems. The No Kissing Moon. I will read first the English translation and then the Czech original. Translation into English, Judith Ontol. We kiss without taste, we kiss without love, we kiss without lust, we kiss without excitement, we kiss without languages, we kiss without lips, we kiss without mouth, we kiss without eyes, we kiss without faces, we kiss without shapes, we kiss without words, we kiss without images, we kiss without imagination, we kiss without visions, we kiss without pictures, we kiss without dreams, we kiss without Dichtung, we kiss without Wahrheit, we kiss without kisses, we kiss without a pax, we kiss without kissing, and so there's nowhere no one to ever take note of our kissing, there's nowhere no one to ever pay attention to our kissing, there's nowhere no one to ever see it, hear it, or feel it, not even ourselves, and so there's nowhere no one to ever write about our kissing but that forgotten poet, which himself has never nowhere kissed anyone, and so at least he's thinking up us, a couple striving for a kiss as himself for a poem. And the Czech original. Nelíbanky. Líbáme se bez chutí, líbáme se bez lásky, líbáme se bez chtíče, líbáme se bez vzrušení, líbáme se bez jazyků, líbáme se bez rtů, líbáme se bez úst, líbáme se bez očí, líbáme se bez tváří, líbáme se bez tvarů, líbáme se bez forem, líbáme se bez podoby, líbáme se bez představy, líbáme se bez imaginace, líbáme se bez obrázů, líbáme se bez snu, líbáme se bez skutečností, líbáme se bez Dichtung, líbáme se bez Wahrheit, líbáme se bez políbku, líbáme bez pusy, líbáme se bez líbání a tak si našeho líbání nikdo nikde nevšímá, naše líbání nikdo nikdy nevidí, neslyší, necítí, dokonce ani my sami. A tak o našem líbání nikdo nikdy psát nebude, až na toho zapomenutého básníka, který sám nikde nikoho nelíbal a tak si alespoň vymyslí nás, dvojici, která se snaží o políbek, jako on o poezii. The next one, The Day Before You Came, soap poetry to one girl with golden hair. The ones belonging to my generation maybe still remember that it was a very beautiful singing lady belonging to a famous group called The Girl with Golden Hair. You were so beautiful, barefoot, with that long black dress, without sleeves, with your long black straight hair, with your white, delicate, and heavenly pale face, with your sorry, with your dark red, narrow lips, with your gentle hands and thin arms, with eyes burning with your passion and pain mine, and with the heavy, squeaking silence of a world neither mine nor yours. You were so beautiful that I was even afraid to look at you, as if so much beauty could have blinded me, like in those old Norwegian fairy tales. But you knew exactly why did you come for, and so we finally got married and took the train towards north, like in that old song. But the strangest thing is that I had never liked black-haired girls. But then, in our newlywed polar night, you deciphered for me even this last useless puzzle. I am not Agneta, though. Then, okay, Eclipse, translation into English by the Czech poet Tomáš Micha. They bought us a yearly ticket for metro even before we were born. We took the metro to the maternity hospital, to nursery, to school, to kindergarten, to elementary school, to secondary school, to the university, to work, and to our retirement. We are not passengers. They just transfer in our country from one surface to another. We are not afraid like them. We know very well that below us there has been nothing for a long time, and not even above us, let alone above them. We're only afraid of the midnight express. It does not stop anywhere. They say it even does not have a driver, so it cannot brake at all. And we are also afraid that one day all the trains will become midnight expresses, and we will never hear again. Final stop, please leave the train. And then feedback, beheaded, castrated, with amputated hands and feet, I became my own, brand new, perfectly round, flawless moon, flying around the world, called by them the earth, but not because of some law of universal gravitation, as they pretend, but in order to enjoy my missing head, arms, and legs, which not so long ago were still spoiling my flawlessness, in order to convince others, but first of all myself, that each one has the potential of becoming a perfectly round, perfectly armless, perfectly legless, perfectly headless, and perfectly sexless brand new moon, a perfect satellite of their previous existence, thankful for being blind, but finally visible in the light of the sun for all the ones which will soon become what I already am now. And the last one, silent night, green corpses lying on the sidewalk, wooden corpses cut off at the root, corpses stripped of their ornaments, corpses stripped of their color. Yesterday they were celebrating Jesus, meeting Santa Claus, listening to, playing and singing Christmas carols, wearing ornaments and offering presents, winking with 1,000 sparkling eyes, making wishes come true. Maybe they were greener than now. They were standing, not lying down, but nevertheless still corpses. Only, just like today, nobody considered them as such. That's because yesterday they didn't look dead at all, but today they look as if they had never appeared alive. May the falling snow rest lightly on them, and the sidewalk softly on. In any case, they will never have a tomb. I'm lying down among them, closing my eyes to finally feel there was some Christmas here. Thank you very much. And once again, it was a pleasure and an honor to be part of this wonderful project of George Wallace and to become to a triangle within the poetry triangulation. Thank you very much, George Wallace. Thank you very much, Lucilla Trapazzo. Warm thanks to all the poets present here. It was a real pleasure and an honor to listen to your poems. All the best and good luck, everybody.
Mircea Dan Duta, thank you, Mircea. It's wonderful to hear from Moldova. Vitaly, Colt, thank you. From Syria, Shurouk, Hammoud, thank you very much. Beautiful to hear work in your languages, Italian, Moldovan, Arabic, and I'm not sure, but I think in Czech, I think you were reading. Mircea, is that correct, or was it in Romanian? But whatever it was, we want to thank you, those of us in New York who are with you today, that you're speaking with the lingua franca of the world at the moment, which is English. That's our privilege, and to be native speakers in that language. And you do us honor to be doing this in English as well as in your native languages. So thank you very much for that. I'll turn right now to our New York City contingent for the third block of poetry. And we'll get started right off the bat with the person who's the technical host for today from the Neuronautic Institute, Matthew Hupert, writer, a multimedia artist, and a New York City native. He's the founder of the Neuronautic Institute. A couple of full-length poetry collections. He hosts several poetry reading series in New York City, including the annual showcase for New York Voices, Nights in the Naked City, which is coming up pretty soon, and a monthly series at the KGB Bar Neuronautic Institute presents. He is a recipient of the 2020 New York Eckerle Award for show organizer and host, and that Eckerle Award is really a prestigious honor to receive. It's an annual award in New York City. Comes from the people, and well-deserved. Matthew Hupert, welcome.
Hey. Hello all. George, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much. It's a real honor to, it's a real honor to be here in this international thing. It's really pretty stunning. I'm blown away by the voices from around the world. We live in a small world in many ways, and I'm really glad that poetry is one of the bridges we have for it. And I'm grateful to all of you. I have 4 poems. The first one, we lost a great Buddhist teacher recently, 2 months ago, Thich Nhat Hanh, and this is a poem I wrote a while ago for him called Meditation on Thich Nhat Hanh's Taming the Tiger Within, Meditations on Transforming Difficult Emotions. Autocorrect turned my Thich Nhat Hanh into thick, neat hash. And I flipped page to page, hoping to tame my tigers, but only found potatoes diced to a precise 3 millimeters and corned beef cubed exactly 1/8 of an inch. By page 23, the onions were sweated and sweet, and the brown of rice patties after the harvest, and the smell of crisp in the duck fat autumn air made me an inhale, an exhale, a breathing, and again. Autocorrect understood the bodhisattva I needed. The tigers receded with corned beef between their teeth. Thank you. Next, this one is called Your Art Hates You, or It Wouldn't Make You Suffer. This stanza is a grass-covered slope to roll down, in giggles and dizzy, to stagger up breathless and do it again. This stanza is a Catskill-rimmed waterhole so still that star clouds rest on its bottom till a lazy toe twitch ripples them to ambiguity. This stanza is spaghetti and meatballs, black raspberry ice cream, the caramel stuck to your fingers when the chocolate is done, chicken soup rice, a well-crafted cocktail. This stanza is a single shaft of sun cutting diagonally across the bed where the two cats are sleeping when you open your eyes. This stanza is a hot cup of tea with lemon, a beach chair, a breeze, with a hint of honeysuckle or jasmine, a well-worn book with notes in the margin. This stanza is the second kiss. And this one is called Molly Bloom Could Be My Patron Saint. I want to mantra like Molly Bloom. Yes, yes, yes. I want to wrap myself in affirmation, buoyed by yesness, buffered against the sandpaper reality, rasping at my skin in a cotton cloud cocoon of yes. I want to moan and croon, yes, like a Molly Bloom memory of love, sex, and yes, Dublin afternoons, Andalusian blooms, and Moorish wall kisses, and yes, mountainside flowers in bloom. I want to kiss the world like Molly Bloom's breasts. Yes, yes, I want to be taken like Molly Bloom's breath. Yes, yes, yes. All right. I have one last one. It's brand new, so I'm really just shaking it out. I hope it's good. Again, I want to thank everybody. This has been amazing. George, thank you for the honor. It's been tremendous. Thank you. This is called Travelogue in a Slipstream. It wasn't so much that I was on the road, but that the road barreled through me the way a robber baron thrust train tracks through homesteaders' gardens and open range graze. Scaffolded and buttressed with overpasses and exit ramps, clover-leafed by the road, around open vistas and across dendrite bridges. The road is always on the road, relentlessly ping-ponging from Amsterdam to Istanbul, from San Francisco to Delhi, from Bangkok to Little Rock, from sadness to Satori, and home again, dragging me in the wake of its Mobius slipstream. Faster still, further still. The road is a tick-tock on a 6-lane highway, a bullet train past Fuji, and ox cart crossing a dirt road river in Tiger Country. It's a waterbed in Boston, a 4-poster in Marrakesh, wild blueberries in Magic Meadow. Further still. Faster still. The road spins itself tighter, tighter, a skater impulling her limbs until the body is blur. Spirals so fast it abandons roundabouts for steeply banked curves. Now, not so much bouncing as lean into the spin, and the internal scenery strobes and gasps until the miles inside dwarf all the highways. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Much love. Peace.
Matthew Hupert. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
We next have Anthony Policano, a board member of the Long Island Poetry Collective. He has served as the managing editor of Xanadu. A managing editor, man, that was some work, I'll tell you. National Poetry Anthology of the Long Island Poetry Collective. He's been published selectively, but in many print and online journals. I'm proud to have published it myself. and he currently moderates a weekly Zoom poetry workshop. Please welcome Anthony Policano.
Hello, everyone. Hi. So thrilled and honored to be part of this project, which is just amazing. I mean, it's just the warmth that's just here and connected throughout the world is just amazing. So thank you, George, for pulling this together and having the creative energy behind it. I'm going to read you a couple of poems. The first poem was published in Long Island Quarterly just recently by George. It's called Serendipity Gong. I drove past Temple Lane today. I've ridden by hundreds of times. Never took notice of the name, but this morning I was thinking biblically, how the body is a temple. Just before I heard the Blind Faith tune on the radio with the refrain, "Come down off your throne and leave your body alone. Somebody must change." Oh, there can never be enough coincidences in this life. Stopped at a red light, my car idling, and my eyes closed in prayer. I asked what I asked, opened them. Suddenly, midday, sunblind, staring at a sign on the corner planted in the ground. It read, "Don't ever be in the dark again." Now, this surely was extraordinary communication from somewhere in the universe just months after the hurricane. The sign had a telephone number, the intent to sell natural gas generators. Yes, I want my lights to turn on automatically. In a blackout, in a catastrophe, or if I've fallen into a deep hole, or if taken hostage at gunpoint in the underworld of doubt. Know this, that before catharsis, there is crisis. Just when you think it's going to get even darker, there's immediate illumination, instant karma. And the next poem is called In the Upper Room with Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia Jackson is was a gospel singer. That's a great gospel singer, one of the great voices of the 20th century, and heavily involved with the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King during the 60s. And she has a song called In the Upper Room, and it kind of inspired me. It's wonderful. The poem starts out with a quote from Acts of the Apostles 2. Suddenly, a sound like a violent wind blowing came from heaven and filled the entire house where they were sitting. And tongues spreading out like a fire appeared to them and came to rest on each one of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit, and they began to speak in other languages as the Spirit enabled them. In the Upper Room with Mahalia Jackson. I want to douse all of the votive candles burning on the windowsills of my house. I won't need them anymore. I want to push the elephant of redundancy out of the basement, clean out all the crap in the crawl space once and for good. I'm going to find a fisherman's knife and gut the wide-bodied TV. Enough is enough. Swiftly grab the fat fish of complacency swimming solo in my mind's tank and hold it like my overfed ego, squirming in a knuckled fist, and toss it and every poem that I've ever written back into the deep, lonely sea of me, me, me. From the torture of the stand, I'm going to free every umbrella, open them up upside down outdoors so that they can breathe, so that they can catch every drop of God falling. Silent and dumb, the gargoyles hanging on my roof will begin to laugh hysterically in the night, a concrete laugh, a wholesome laugh, a hiccuping laugh, like Eve laughed when Adam told her the first sexy joke in the garden. I'm going to set up camp outside like a religious Romeo in silk shirt with piping sleeves and jade green tights, hidden in shadows of wisteria, washed in melon moonlight. under the balcony of the upper room. Oh, on up that ladder I'll climb, up to my honeymoon suite with the Holy Spirit, up to my new life talking with tongues of fire. Can't you hear that sweet gospel music playing? Can't you hear those syncopated hands clapping like wings of doves? And can't you hear Mahalia in her heavenly blue church gown, inviting one and all to leave behind our sins and just believe? The Hammond B organ sustaining fat minor chords. As Mahalia sings like a Louisiana hurricane, sings every song she's ever learned since she was a girl in choir, since the night that Jesus first walked upon the Galilee Sea of her faith-filled heart. And the last poem is called Rambling Grace. If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Meister Eckhart. Good Lord, we give you thanks for the chopped clams so miraculously canned in the brine of their own juices. Thank you for the linguine patiently air-dried, boxed and labeled with suggested cooking times for perfect al dente. Thanks also for the pecorino romano, grated and packaged in moisture-proof glossy Ziploc bags, thousands of them, each weighing exactly 16 ounces on refrigerated shelves throughout this great country. We thank you for recycling instructions that make us feel confused and guilty, for our after-shower deodorants and antiperspirants, for the faceless migrants and itinerants we recognize in mirrors and family scrapbooks. We thank you for backyard fences that keep neighbors neighborly, for wool blankets and park benches that remind us we're not yet home. We thank you for the helpless that make us feel helpful, for the penniless sundry and the hungry, yes, even for the coiffured and the chauffeured, and for all the lowly workers whose gifts are ignored. We thank you for pristine winding roads we see on TV that don't really exist, for traffic congestion to help us meditate, and for weed-free manicured lawns. Thank you for endlessly spawned Geico commercials that play within the rectangles of our minds, now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen, O Lord. Bless all who seek but do not find. Bless the consumers consumed by the satisfaction they are chasing. We thank you, Lord, for the genuine article, for holy relics and traces of DNA particles that help us to connect the dots of our divine connectedness between the races and segregated places and the neighborhoods on both sides of the tracks, considered too unsafe to cross. Thank you.
Anthony Policano. You ran down some of my hit lists of best products and worst products as well.
And worse.
Juxtaposition. Thank you for that. And our musician who waited patiently, he was standing for most of the hour and a half waiting to put on his performance. A consummate professional from New York. Oh no, sorry, we haven't. I'm sorry. And this is really Baba Ngoma Hill is a tremendous voice, living voice of poetry in New York City. I've known him for years as a performance poet, a multi-instrumentalist, singer and songwriter, and paradigm shifter. We had him here at the World Woman Birthplace one time, but you'll see him anywhere in New York City. Just incredible, residing in Harlem, New York for over 40 years. He has used culture as a tool to raise socio-political and spiritual consciousness through work that encourages critical thought. I mean it. No telling what he's going to come out with musically, in terms of poetry, always a surprise and a delight. Ngoma Hill.
Greetings and salutations. I'm really honored to be here, George. Thanks for calling me, waking me up this morning. I would have missed it all. But I don't want to waste all my time giving accolades. Let me get this poetry on. This poem is from my new book. The book is called I Didn't Come Here to Tap Dance. The poem is called Uncomfortable Conversations. Many times, Black folk go out of their way not to make white folk feel uncomfortable. But we've been uncomfortable ever since we were brought here in chains. When driving while black, every time we hear a police siren, we live in fear, living in a police state. But you say it can't happen here in these yet to be United States that you claim is post-racial. But these cops act like having brown skin is illegal, living in a reality show where there is no sequel. When we go into a department store, you follow us like thieves, but we're the ones that were stolen along with whole countries. Along with our history that's outlawed and aborted, our story distorted, or set in Heru, replaced by a blue-eyed Jesus, been led to believe that anything unchristian is a sin and that there was no history before the Nicene Council, 325 AD, or around 1611 when that perverted James the King rewrote the Bible that he stole from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it's been said, the Sun Book, AKA the Book of Coming Forth by Day. Extracting the 42 laws of Ma'at and leaving only 10 commandments. You would need to read more books to understand this, but media and gangster rap makes education unpopular these days, so intellectual curiosity is taking a backstage to video games, hand-to-eye coordination, training folk to be quick on the trigger for wars never ending. The economy is broken, so for foreign lands, your sons and daughters, they are sending to maim, kill, and murder those who pray to Allah. Meanwhile, social media overloads of distraction and inundating us with commercials got us trying to keep up with the Joneses, while children in China slaving sweatshops making smartphones. Broken windows, stop and frisk policy is a part of the conspiracy, a criminalization of a generation in the country where the rate of incarceration is the largest in the I wish I could call it its civilized world. And whole cities are employed from prison privatization as a means to control population where the demographic is rapidly changing from white to black and brown. Meanwhile, there's still a struggle concerning abortion. Cancer treatment has become an industry because in the cure, there's no profit. The educational system is only designed for training. Critical thought is lacking. They don't want us thinking. We might just figure out fascism is rising. So we need to have these uncomfortable conversations. It's too late to change the channel. The atmosphere is polluted with radiation and it's not safe to put your head in the sand. Now we're doing die-ins, chanting, hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe. Yeah. See if I can get his own other one on right quick. Give me just a second. The next poem is in an anthology called Reimagine America. Yeah. So this is an anthology called Reimagine America. And the poem is called Today is the Tomorrow We Were Looking for Yesterday. Today is the tomorrow we were looking for yesterday. 1984 on roids. The whole a pale horse on oxy. This sure ain't Wonderland, Alice. Little orphan Annie lives in Tent City underneath the rail yard down by the tracks. Even white folk got problems. Poverty is colorblind. Only on Fox 5 is the economy booming as vampires suck blood for oil and use your children as cannon fodder. War is endless and profitable, and we started wars on lies before. What makes it different this time? What makes it different this time when we were never at war? 9/11 was an inside job. Why not have a day when the misleaders call for battle and everyone stays at home? Tell your children combat is deadly and perilous to your health. Paint protest signs on the walls of your consciousness. Remember, the military is an industrial complex, but it's not too complex to see. The chicken hawks only send our kids to fight their conquest. Do you think 1 million people rallying in Banneker City could snatch the yard birds out of the palace? Is there a law that would actually make them read the Constitution? This is the state of emergency poets told you about. I would continue with this catastrophe, but it's just too much to Twitter. Yeah. So that's it, y'all. Thank you.
Just too much to Twitter. How about Ngoma Hill? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show. Now we will conclude with the New York City portion with a musician who graces the stage of many poetry venues, especially we've seen him over the years in Otto's Shrunken Head and Bowery Electric and the Parkside Lounge and his own venue for a couple of years. Up on the second floor, Lady Stardust on Avenue A, late lamented venue. Rick Eckerle really is an important musical contributor to the poetry scene in New York City and has a remarkable track record of performance in the world of recording music in New York City. He's a former session coordinator and audio engineer at Chesky Records. He worked at ASCAP and was part of the archive recording team when Jazz and Lincoln Center opened its doors. Rick can tell you stories about famous musicians that you know and love and wonder about over drinks, which we've had an opportunity to do. So, but as a performer, he's a fabulous contribution. So please welcome Rick Eckerle. Rick, we have to get you off mic. We got to get your mic, Rick. Microphone, you're muted. You're muted.
Unmute your.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
There we go.
This is
Once
the
again,
first
once
for me. My first real Zoom meeting. Okay, we'll start again. Used to be a whole year before you, and everywhere you went, too. Used to be some dreams here, hopes for you. Now they're going and broken too. Their hearts are beating, their heads turn blue. Men and women go two by two, down to the graveyard, a prison of time, down to the land where we feel so blind. Cross that threshold, cross that line. We're on the truth, we're on the lines. Cross that threshold, past that line to the place where we didn't go behind. When will I wake up? When will I wake up? When will I wake up from this broken dream? When will I wake up? When will I wake up? When will I wake up from this dream? The Holy Ghost won't leave no more. The Holy Ghost won't rain down no fire. The Holy Ghost won't feel no more. The Holy Ghost won't open that door. Used to be a whole year before you. Got one more. Switch guitars. This was originally written for my wife, but it's kind of become a nice song. I will always believe in you. always be there. Each time we fall, answer the call. I'll be there for you. And I know you'll be there for me too. Standing true blue. You are the light that makes the shade. High in the light, holding every shadow's edge. Chasing mirrors on a sunset sky. I felt this free since the 4th of July. Fireworks like a New York sky. When trouble comes, it always travels fast. You gotta hold on tight till its turn has passed. Takes a lot of love and medicine to ride this world this far. Tracing fates, ticking clock. On with soul, our truth, our dreams, and our open doors. Eye to eye, just as we are. I will always believe in you. I will always be there. Each time we fall, we answer the call. I'll be there for you. And I know you'll be there for me too. Standing true. Standing true. Thank you, George. Thank you, Matt. Italy and
Rick
Romania.
Eckerle. Thank you so much, Rick Eckerle.
Thank you.
All of you from New York City who joined us today as performers. Rick Eckerle, Ngoma Hill, Anthony Policano, and Matthew Hupert. Thanks all. Thank you all from the other locations around the world, reaching out to each other, building bridges made of grass, as Vitaly said in his song, not bricks or rock or whatever the other possibilities were. we are doing something very special with this series, and I want to thank you all for being part of it in this small way that we can to promote world understanding and intercultural cooperation. This is the fifth, as I said, of 6 in a series of Poets Building Bridges. We'll conclude tomorrow, Sunday, with episode 6 and the final version of the final edition of the show at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll have representatives of Bolton, England, and Chennai, India, along with another group of people from New York City joining us. Great, beautiful umbrella that we're sharing. And I think that we're doing the good work of humanity by joining together like this. So thank you all, and especially Mircea and Lucilla, our compares from Bucharest and from Switzerland, Italy, Lucilla, and all of you participants. I will now turn it over to our host, our technical host, Matthew Hupert, and Neuronautic Press, who is recording and streaming this, and also working with Don Krieger, who's here with us once again, and it's going to be putting this on YouTube in a couple of hours for everybody's enjoyment. So thanks again. Back to you, Matthew Hupert.
Thank you, everybody. This has really been a tremendous event. I'm blown away by just how much talent there is in the world. To those of you in the New York area who want to be in the New York area, please come. We run a monthly series the 4th Thursday of every month at the Red Room above KGB Bar on 4th Street. We have great features lined up already most of the way through this year. So I'm pretty stunned. We're really thrilled to be back live after 2 years on Zoom. So I really hope to see you there. We have a vibrant open mic and great features. So come on down. George, thank you so much. You are doing the universe's work here, man. And it's way appreciated. Much love. Don, thank you for your engineering. Thank you everyone for participating. Love you all. You're good for my heart. Peace out.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead and unmute yourselves and say hello to each other and see about reaching out after the show.
Hey, great. I really deeply